Stay tuned for urban legends to ghostly tales of the paranormal, because now it's time for
Message on the Wall.
Welcome to another Message on the Wall and Haunted Cemeteries in Alabama. And we begin at Shelby and the Beaver Creek Cemetery that looks to be cut into the very woodland that surrounds it, making it an eerie place at night, which may be the reason why it's got its reputation for being haunted. You can get onto Beaver Creek Road by Country Road 47, or the much longer route from Egg and Butter Road. This is also known as the Seal Cemetery, where there are many interred there with the Seal name dating back to the 1900s, although there are older graves. Our second haunted cemetery is at Irondale in Birmingham, where the Bass Cemetery lies off a very narrow country lane off Ruffiner Road. The lane is enclosed by trees before opening out onto the small graveyard, and this may be best for a daytime investigation as it's associated with occult activities, where dead animals have been found in what could be sacrificial rites. Many visitors to the cemetery have the feeling of being watched and even followed. Ghostly figures have also been seen, and there have been reports of screams being heard. Being a good distance from any residence, the cemetery is around 200 years old, with the burial of Civil War soldiers and slaves. Moving on, we stay in Birmingham and one of Alabama's oldest cemeteries, Oak Hill. With the first burial taking place in 1872, there are very few places left, and the trust that sees to its upkeep don't arrange funeral services. Surrounded by a stone wall, the main entrance is situated on North 19th Street. It's said to be the haunt of Louise Worcester, a famous brothel keeper who died in 1813 and is buried at Oak Hill. Going to the Easley Cemetery in Jasper near Townley, this is one of several small plots located in an out-of-the-way setting surrounded by lakes. Going off Wire Road onto Ollie Grove Road and taking the turning onto Easley Cemetery Road, the graveyard is a good distance along on the right-hand side. There are stories of a glowing ball of light that floats through the cemetery and has even been seen on the road. For EVPs, a daytime investigation may be more advised, and to at least check out the cemetery during daylight hours before returning at night, as this is hard to find and there are coyotes in the area. The last two cemeteries are northeasterly at Huntsville. Maple Hill Cemetery on Maple Hill Drive is the oldest and largest cemetery in Huntsville, covering almost 100 acres surrounded by a low brick wall. The oldest grave marker dates back to 1820, but there were burials earlier than this, with many unmarked graves including Civil War soldiers. Although there is limited space, it is still a working cemetery with entrances off Wells Avenue Southeast, Kingsbury Avenue Southeast and California Street Southeast, as well as the main entrance on Maple Hill Drive. The story associated with the haunting here is quite interesting. Mary Chamber Bibb, being given a medicine by her nanny, administered poison by mistake. Being the daughter-in-law of former Governor Thomas Bibb, 19-year-old Mary hadn't been married long when she was interred in her wedding dress, seated in her favourite rocking chair, and being placed in a crypt that was the first mausoleum to be built at Maple Hill Cemetery. It's said that anyone going up to the door of the mausoleum can hear Mary rocking in her chair. In 2007, authorities attempted to take down a children's park with its rusted swings to use the land to expand the graveyard, but public outcry was too much, and new swings and a slide was put in place of those already torn down. It is also reputed to be haunted, as during the 1960s a number of Huntsville children were abducted, with their remains later being found within the park as well as close by. It's said that those children, and the ones interred in the cemetery, go there to play, as children have been seen on the swings, and for the swings to move as though someone was sat on them, this often being between 11 p.m. and 3 a.m. Our last haunted cemetery is Liberty Hill, where the small fenced-off graveyard sits alongside a country lane bordered by farmland on Liberty Hill Road on the north side of Huntsville. The story goes that either a witch or a farmer was hung from a tree within or beside the cemetery, for which there are many, though research can produce no evidence of such an event taking place. However, visitors to the cemetery describe what they say is an uneasy feeling. There are no overhead power lines, making it a good location for paranormal investigations. And those are just a few of what are said to be many haunted cemeteries in Alabama. You've been listening to Message on the Wall, brought to you by Paranormal X, your website for everything paranormal at www.paranormalx.yolasite.com.